Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. What does it take to run a successful restaurant? We'll find out from the experts, Dave Boller and Bob Russo, partners and owners of Garden Social in East Meadow, New York. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. Good morning.
We're going to learn some things today. First of all, how did you get into the restaurant business?
I was very interested in opening a beer garden about 25 years ago. Actually started on a golf course on the back nine saying, I don't want to be on this course anymore. I want to go to a beer garden. And was in advertising for 25 years. And when I was going through the process of trying to define who I am and what I want to be, there was a life event that happened to me. And my mother had passed away from early onset Alzheimer's.
Sorry.
And thank you. And sitting there and trying to identify, what I want to do, what's going to make me happy, I decided that it was time for me to make a move and do what I've always wanted to do, and that was to open up a beer garden on Long Island. And, took 5 years to find the location in which we can fit a 40-foot pergola and this is beautiful ambiance of Brooklyn meets East Meadow vibe. Found Bob, who we were fraternity brothers from Oneonta State.
Oh, that's it, fraternity brothers. Okay, now
Yep. Actually, all the partners are from Oneonta, so we have this kind of brotherly bond that's transcended time. And we found Garden Social in East Meadow. Bob is from East Meadow, and we took off from there.
A win-win. Now, you mentioned a word in there most of us are not familiar with. I think it was pergola. Could you tell us what that is?
A pergola is generally found in backyards, in beer gardens. It's a 40-foot structure. It's cedar beams with nice kind of cross beams going across. Just provides a really nice ambiance.
I was just going to say the word ambiance. You picture that when you think of a beer garden. That's
what I pictured. So when I was looking for the location, came up upon what was formerly Callahan's in East Meadow. I saw the outside, and that's where I saw the pergola going in. And when I showed Bob, he was just saw the same vision I did, and
he said, "This is where I want to drink beer," and so will everybody else. Now, Bob, what was your background? Were you a restaurateur?
No, I've been in sales since I graduated Oneonta in 1996. Owned my own company, and again, it's like Dave said. You have a grind, you're working every day, but it's not something you love to get up every day and do.
That's your old job.
Well, yes, I do both.
I think you'd love this, though, with the beer garden and with the pergola.
It's a little more fun.
It's a little more fun.
It's hard work, but it's fun.
So neither one of you, from what I understand, you didn't study restaurant business. You didn't work in a restaurant and say, I want to get my own. You had totally different fields. And you open up a restaurant, like magically it's so successful. This is what's so amazing.
Yeah, well, when you're passionate about something, you have a clear vision, and you're all on the same page in terms of where you want to go from a goal perspective. It kind of takes a life of itself, and you're always in synergy and just keep moving the ball forward. Yeah.
Bob, was this more difficult than you expected? Everybody, when we get on a project, it's going to be, we'll open up our own garage or ice cream store. But was this like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
I think it's made easier when you have the right team around you. And we had a lot of time. The build out for this operation took over a year. So we had a lot of time to sit down and get our thoughts together and get ready for it.
In a sense, I guess you'd say you did it the right way. And you had time to
by
think about
accident. Like if it was up to us, I would have rather not taken 13 months to open.
But you're very honest entrepreneurs. A lot of people have the thing like anything I touch turns to gold. You're saying it's tough.
Hard work turns things to gold.
And quite honestly, I have great respect for salesmen and people in the sales field, and I think they have a lot more ability because they kind of know when to go with the wind and when to resist, and they just know how to deal with people.
The good thing about us is, although we don't have the experience, we know what's good, and we go out and we have a good time. So we know what we expect, and that's what we do for everyone that comes.
Now, is it tougher on Long Island? This would seem to be a tough market. I mean, I can just turn my head and see 8 different restaurants, and 3 of them are McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's.
Yeah.
I know that's not per se your competition, but there's so many restaurants and people eat out so much. Is that tougher or better for you?
It's definitely better. Providing an experience that doesn't exist on Long Island. You can't find Garden Social from Queens to Montauk. That's how unique the experience is. This Brooklyn meets East Meadow vibe, beautiful brick and barnwood, and architecturally our contractor was just amazing. And then coupled that with the food and the service, and then Bob, myself, and the other partners really being and owning and operating the location the way we want to, with a passion and a vigor for success. We want to win, and there's nothing that's going to stop us. Bob and I are all in on this.
Now, how did you come up with the name and the location per se?
The location was based on having the ability to have the outside.
Right. You said, okay, that pergola was
the quintessential
important.
part.
And lots of parking.
This is something we talk about, and I'll say this the rest of our lives. It's not location. Like, you'll hear people say it's location. It's not location, because I could bring you to great places that I won't go to because there's no parking. I'll drive right by them.
Me too, actually.
Parking is the quintessential part of having a good place to go when you don't have to worry about finding a parking spot.
And I'm personally, I thought maybe I was just that way, maybe everybody else didn't mind walking blocks or going through the rain or whatever. But you're right. I love it if you can just pull up and park nicely. It just seems to keep the whole ambiance of the evening or the time you're there in good stead. If you have to drive blocks or find a place on a corner and worry if someone's going to be turning or a big truck's going to be there, it takes a little something away from me. So I'm with you on that. Is there one thing that you wish you had done that now looking back and you say, gee, I wish I didn't have this guy across the table as my partner, or I wish I had moved up 2 blocks or 3 towns?
I think we could have been a bit more streamlined, a bit more planned out on a couple of the critical points of building out. This was a complete build out. This was taking a restaurant that currently exists that was called Callahan's and basically tearing it down to the cinder blocks. So as new restaurant owners and going through this whole process of demolition, working with the town of Hempstead, architects, attorneys, contractors, multiple subcontractors within the experience, there's a lot more planning. I think time spent, we could have been more efficient in doing that. With that said, Bob and I and the team took it upon ourselves, and what I'm really proud of is we took responsibility for all aspects of it. We didn't let it sit in other people's hands, whether it be going to get permits from the town of Hempstead, or whether getting drawings back to the architect, or just making decisions. So the ball was always in the other person's court. So we kept on moving down the road to getting this place opened because we were burning through a lot of money.
I was going to say, now I have a lot of follow-up questions on that, but at this point in the show, we like to remind our audience that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan, your host, and today we're talking to Dave Boller and Bob Russo. They are partners and owners of Garden Social in East Meadow, New York. And if you want a good time, if you want to sit under the pergola and have some beers, and you classify it as a beer garden, right? Is that the right term to call it?
Beer garden and kitchen.
And kitchen,
yep.
Meaning restaurant, good food.
Great food.
That's the way I look at it. So now you said a word in there, and I'm going to have some fun with this. To a lot of people, it's a dirty word, attorneys. Now, we don't even think of that with a restaurant. I mean, we think of all of the other things you have to do. But you have to get attorneys, architects, people coming in, and then go for town permits. Were you ready to shoot yourself at that point?
It was a large task. It was very kind of it was inundating. It was very time sensitive. Working with attorneys, so Bob and I can both agree, and it could be challenging. Finding a good attorney that's really looking out for your best interests, an attorney that is affordable and feel like you're getting, they charge hourly. And
yes, I know that.
And they're in an office and they're doing things, and you get a bill that they spent 15 minutes on something, and it's like, wow, why aren't we further along? And so it stinks to say. You're just like, am I getting? Is this an honest attorney? And we did find some good attorneys, and we had some bad attorneys.
Right, and I think that's the mix. But one thing I noticed, now I understand, Bob's kind of a big guy sitting next to me over here. He looks like
very
maybe he was, like with the Giants before. So is that one of the reasons he's your partner? Like when he went in and said, I want it done now, it got done quickly?
Bob's a gentle giant.
Is he?
A big bear, but then when he gets going, forget
I'm
about
edging closer to you because I'm getting a little afraid of him here. I don't want to get him mad, so I want to make sure he gets his share of the questions.
He's also the mayor of East Meadow.
Is he?
I'd rather him take more questions.
Are you the mayor? Okay, that's good. Now
I'm not the mayor.
Now, honestly,
I'm the consigliere.
Okay, I'm not even going to get into that. Now, dealing with a restaurant, you said a beer garden, and I was going to say, do you have competition from chains? But really, a beer garden, I don't know of any other place on Long Island that I think of as a beer garden.
There are a couple. There's a German beer garden called Plattdeutsch. Plattdeutsch. But we're definitely an American beer garden and kitchen. We're a fusion. I mean, when we first started out, Bob and I, like, what do we want to be? We still, talk about that daily. Like, who are we? Like, are we, the quintessential beer garden, or are we a restaurant, or are we a fusion of both? And then how do you be a fusion of both? And I think we've started to create that at Garden Social with an amazing chef and partner, Kevin Lieboff, who owned a restaurant in Merrick called Nicholas James. And then operationally, Bob, myself, and James really kind of honing in on that. There's nothing like it that exists on Long Island. And I said it before, the ambiance that you're going to get doesn't exist from Queens to Montauk. And as we continue to grow this brand and locations, we're going to continue this kind of, keep the brand consistent, keep the continuity of the team kind of consistent, and grow to bigger and better things.
And that's kind of a magic word, ambiance. I'm big on vocabulary words, and it's why we kind of go back to places we like. We feel comfortable there. They have the food, the drink, the wait staff, the kind of people we feel comfortable with, whatever that might be, golfers, tennis players, rough and tumble guys, wrestlers, whatever sport, whatever thing. Looking back, and without blaming anybody or getting you in trouble with people or partners or anybody else, what's the biggest mistake you made? Who's going to answer? Okay.
For myself and for all of us, I think if we took a step back, I wish we had done this sooner so we could be more ahead of the game.
Oh, that's a good. Now I know why you're the mayor. That's a good political answer. No, I know, but no, that really is good, and I think that says a lot. You're enjoying it, you're having fun, and customers are loving it.
It's a ton of work.
A ton of work. But if it's productive,
it's going good for us.
And you're happy with it, and you're enjoying it.
Absolutely.
And you got rid of the lawyers now, so you don't have to worry about all those people.
We didn't get rid of the lawyers.
Didn't get rid of them, but we won't use that word in society, rid of. You don't need them right now anymore.
Oh, we do.
You do? Okay, so you better be nice to them.
It's always something, as we want to improve the location and variance and permits and all these things we want to do. The Garden Social East Meadow, from an ambiance perspective, is not complete. It's not a minimal viable product either. We're definitely past that.
The lawyer issue, I'm just wondering, because of the beer, does that, meaning an alcoholic beverage, does that bring in lawyers more, or is it just more the construction, licenses, permits, doing things the right way?
Oh, yeah. We thought that was a scary time. We built this whole place out, and we still didn't have our liquor license. So we had to go through the SLA in order of an attorney to go get that done, and we're 60 days out from opening and still can't sell beer or a vodka.
A beer garden without beer, there's something missing there, right? But it looks like you solved it because Bob's smiling. So again, you sent him there, the big guy, to go over with that pleasant looking face that says, "Get it done now." When you're hiring an employee, what do you look for?
We are looking for an employee that shows initiative. We're looking for an employee that has not necessarily experience, but the willingness to be a part of a team and put 100% in. Have an uncanny ability to make people smile, be empathetic, have people when they come and feel like they're not in East Meadow, but they're in a beer garden and in some place where they can kind of just, sit down and forget about life for a while and just have a great time.
That sounds like the perfect description for all of us. We want to forget our show for a few seconds now as we take a brief break and remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan. Today we're talking to Dave Boller and Bob Russo, partners of Garden Social in East Meadow, New York. We'll be right back after this brief break.
So this year, I ordered my prom dress from Shady Deals, and when it came, it said, some assembly required.
I ordered these batteries for my digital camera, but the batteries weren't included, so I had to draw all of our family memories.
I ordered a 60-inch TV from Shady Deals. What they actually meant is, you can't sit further than 60 inches away.
Be a savvy consumer, research businesses, report false advertising, and settle transaction claims with the BBB.
Test your advertising IQ. Go to bbbadtruth.org.
Those serving in our military, they're the difference makers. Separated from family, enduring hardships far from home, sacrificing for their country. Well, for those of us who support our armed forces through the USO, we get to make a difference too. Through the USO, we get to be the force behind the forces, connecting them to every comfort of family, home, and country possible. It's a good feeling to make a difference. Visit uso.org/force to learn how you can be the force behind the forces.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're talking to Dave Boller, Bob Russo, partners and owners of Garden Social Restaurant in East Meadow, New York. Bob, we've been getting a lot of information from Dave, so we're going to throw it to you. The management team. Now, you're an owner, you're a partner. Do you go out and find managers, or are the day-to-day managers the owners of the place, and how do you find a good manager and a good team?
It's ourselves managing along with our manager, Jackie. Everyone that manages owns the place, and we have one manager.
Now, that really helps, right? Because they're co-owners, and they have an interest.
Absolutely.
And how do you establish that team so that everybody gets along? Because if you say clean the kitchen and they go, you clean the kitchen, or lift that fish or whatever.
It's a work in process. We're a new entity. We've been open not that long, so we figure that out as we go along.
Is it tough keeping a good team and good employees here on Long Island? There's so many other places, and are they like the ball players? They always want to renegotiate or go elsewhere?
Yeah, it's very tough. And just to touch on Bob's response, the management team and the partners that we have in place with our general manager Jackie and our head bartender Sal is a team that complements each other very well. So we all bring unique kind of skill sets to owning and operating Garden Social. I've been in marketing for 25 years, so running all of our social media, driving butts and seats, increasing average price per seat is something in a measurement we look at from a data perspective. Bob just, really being to understand people, know the area, know the people, make people feel really at home. James, our other partner, has operational experience from his restaurant in the Bronx called Park Billiards. And Kevin, our chef, like I mentioned, he's been in the business forever. He owned Nicholas James. Food is a passion for this guy. So if we make a critique on it, he's upset. And he is bringing, food to Garden Social, East Meadow, and the surrounding communities that is unrivaled. People come in and yeah, we're a beer garden, but the food that comes out is everything on the menu is fantastic. Our French dip, our 9-spice chicken sandwich, our East Meadow giant pretzels, ceviche, steaks.
You're making me hungry now. Don't do this to me.
I'm not kidding.
This to me.
There's everything on, and I'm, of course, everyone's going to think I'm biased, and Bob would attest. It's really that good, and so he's just done an amazing job of people kind of writing in our reviews. If you look at our reviews on Facebook, Instagram, Yelp, everybody's talking about how good the food is, and then you bring in Jackie. From a general manager perspective, and Sal, who have experience, they're A players, they want to grow with us, and I think that's the biggest challenge is finding employees that believe in your vision and that want to stay with you. The restaurant business, there's a lot of turnover. You have kids that are just servers and busboys, and they're going on to bigger and better things, and the restaurant business isn't the end all be all. It's kind of in the middle. So it is hard to find your A players. Once you find your A players, you really have to kind of take care of them and train them and have them grow with you.
And that's another magic word. If you take care of the good people, and just as a nice compliment, I think I mentioned before the show to you, someone I knew right in that area, the shopping center that you're in, before I ever knew we would be talking on the show, I said, where's a good restaurant around here? And he said, if you go back in that corner back there, you got to look a little bit. He said, but Garden Social. I said, what's the name? Garden Social. And he said, it's really good. He said, I've been over there, and we agreed someday we're going to get over there for lunch, so we're going to do that.
Well, that hidden nook of being back in a shopping center with awesome parking is really an advantage. Just to be a destination, we've been able to build a brand through word of mouth, guerrilla marketing, getting out there, talking on shows like this, whatever we can do to talk about Garden Social and who we are. Our social media filing, I started like the chronology of the birth of a beer garden, and so we put
I like that.
Yeah, we put it's on gardensocialli.com. You can check out the video, but that's started the each owner talking about themselves on video, who we are, what we're about, and we've gone from 0 to almost 8,000 followers since November 5th. So we've struck a real chord, and leveraging social media has been a real coup for us.
Now, How about the menu? We had a restaurateur on, I'm going to say 15 or 20 years ago, and I never realized till I talked to him what goes into it. I thought you go 2 of these, 2 of these, 1 of these, each category. But today you've got people with gluten-free, peanut allergies, vegetarians, semi-vegetarians, full vegetarians. They won't eat anything that ever lives or grows. I don't know how they live it themselves. All they want is ice water with it, no ice. How do you satisfy everybody?
Well, I think we're customers, basically, from
just what you like, they'll like.
So, listen, Kevin's an amazing chef. He's not a cook. We have a chef, and he's amazing. So he comes in, we link up with him, and we're sitting down, and I'm a very easygoing guy, but I could also just let it out. And I'm like, look, you're great at what you do, but no one's coming in and ordering a chicken cacciatore with a blueberry beer. Okay? So let's get creative, and we start just throwing ideas out.
See, that's
Next,
right,
they're on the menu.
Yeah.
We like bacon wrapped onion rings. Let's do this. He's like, all right, let's do it. And then
you have bacon wrapped onion rings?
We do.
You're going to have a new customer very yourself. We'll just follow you out of here when the show's over here. But that really is, like you said, though, you wouldn't match those two with a beer garden. And you have to know that and know that ambiance.
There's classic items, too, though, that you like. There's linguine and clam sauce on our menu. And many people have said it's the best they've ever had.
Okay, that's bacon and onion rings, linguine and clam. I'll have to come in a couple of days to get all
French dip. Forget about it.
The French dip. Oh, jeez. And we'll get the station manager. He's already laughing, and I think we're going to move from Arby's uptown to the beer garden here at Garden Social.
Another thing, it's not just the food menu; it's the beer menu. We have 24 beers on tap. We have another half dozen in craft cans, and then kind of your traditional Miller Lights and Heinekens and so on. But putting together the tower, I thought was going to be a piece of cake. Like you said, just 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, and fill it up to 24. Well, you're a beer garden, and you're expected to be an expert in beer. Now, I love beer, but I never really considered myself an expert. And it took 3 months to kind of figure out what we were going to put on the tower, what the ratios were going to be from IPAs to lagers to ports and things of this nature. And our head bartender, Sal, has come in, and he's a true connoisseur. And we leverage social media as we put up new beers on the line, and we'll put up like a Heady Topper, which is from the Alchemist in Vermont, and put it on Untap, which is a beer app, and our social platforms, and we'll have 20 people in there drinking that day. So it's important.
You're using words I have no knowledge of. A Heady Topper from the Alchemist in Vermont. It sounds like something
Heady Topper's an IPA.
Harry Potter deals with, but the types of beer are obviously very good.
And there's a whole people all over the place are really into their beer, and you got to be on top of it.
The real beer people are. And at this point, for people listening and saying, wait, where are these real beers? They're at Garden Social in East Meadow, New York. And at this point in the show, we just want to remind our listeners that if you're enjoying this, we're talking today to Dave Boller, Bob Russo, their partners and owners at Garden Social in East Meadow, New York. You're listening to WHPC 90.3, the voice of Nassau Community College. And I'm your host, and I'm the one to blame for making you hungry, but it's these two gentlemen who are coming out with that great product, so you can blame them too. Now, let me ask you about what experience in your life helped you the most in running a restaurant?
Well, I have a life motto. It's actually pretty funny. It started about 15 years ago. I like to go out and have a good time.
Okay. And you came up with that by yourself, right?
No,
like Aristotle and all those people come up with sayings and mottos. Have a good time.
So I'm getting ready to go out. My wife looks at me. It's like a Wednesday night. She's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go out and have a couple of drinks. She goes, you're not going out. So I looked at her and I said, let the eagle soar. And she goes, what the hell does that mean? And I said, just let it soar. Let it soar. And I just walked out the door. And it worked.
I have a feeling you're a chapter in the birth of the beer garden. I think that's a chapter in itself. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get in trouble with you and your wife.
So the whole point of me saying this is, from going out, having a good time, living, when Dave came up with, the concept of doing this where I live, I grew up in East Meadow. For me, it's not just owning a restaurant. I want to create a reaction, emotions and reactions and life experiences. People are celebrating a bridal shower, a baby shower, a funeral, after funeral procession. Like, these are important moments, and we're creating memories and experiences.
That really is so important, because you do remember those things, and sometimes it can be the slightest thing. It doesn't have to be massive, expensive grandeur. It's a fun time with your uncles and your aunts, and you're celebrating a confirmation, a bar mitzvah, a party, something that's important in your life, a job increase, or you got an A on the science project or something. But
a lot
just
of
getting everybody
celebrations,
out.
people crying the last moments of their life with someone, hugging it out after a big win in a game.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that.
The Islander playoff games were amazing.
I didn't even think of that, but between the Islander player and just having a good time. I'm thinking back in the days when I played softball and you'd go out after the game. It was more fun at the bar. So,
when you leave this place, we care that you had a good time. It matters to all of us.
And I think that's certainly important to us, the consumer, and that the owners really care about it, and that's their goal. Now, what trends are we seeing on Long Island? Anything new in restaurant business?
For me, I'm 9 months into this. I think, where we have a unique advantage, and where we look at the competitive set and kind of where we want to go, and we look at all the competition, and, we want to compete at that level. Being so passionate, being owner-operators, understanding people based on our experiences professionally and personally, gives us a real unique advantage. Now, in terms of trends, people want something unique. They want something that doesn't exist. They want an environment where they walk into and they haven't. When people walk into Garden Social, it's eye popping. It is wow. Like, what did you do here? Our barn was from the 1860s from Ohio. We had a trucked in on a flatbed truck. Reclaimed brick from New York. All the metal is handmade. Our shelving is from a warehouse fire in Brooklyn in the 70s. So it just doesn't exist. So when they see it, they're really kind of in awe. And so we'll continue to trend as we continue to grow our brand.
In our last few seconds, what's the one item that when I walk in there I should be sure to have, and it's going to bring me back?
Our chef. When you eat something in our place, the sauces were made in-house. A lot of the meats are cooked and then sliced on premise. The French dip is not a roast beef; it's a prime rib. It's cooked, cut, sliced thinly. Au jus sauce made on premise. Hand cut fries. Little garlic bread, which I prefer without the garlic bread.
French dip with the bacon and on the onion rings. Now I have my order all set.
We could actually put the bacon wrapped onion rings on the French dip.
Oh my God, this is getting too much.
We can call it the Horan.
I'm perspiring and getting very flushed, so I better stop right here. Dave Boller, Bob Russo, you got me so excited I'm mixing up your names. Thank you so much for being with us. The restaurant is Garden Social. It's in East Meadow, New York. It's right outside of Eisenhower Park. If you go to the Coliseum, it's a great treat before or after. Thanks so much for being with us today. We'd like to remind our audience that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.